Really hoping that the I hear people, I hear lawnmowers, so I'm hoping it doesn't migrate its way over here. In which case, we would just have to move this little chat inside. Not the end of the world. What is up? What is up? How's it going? Toot toot toot. What's up, bro?
I'm here, present.
Happy
Sound
Tuesday.
come sound come through all right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering if I may have to go inside because I hear like the lawnmower and like the landscapers. So if it just let me know if it gets loud and then I'll go inside.
Yeah. No, I don't hear anything right now.
Great, great. How's it going? How are things?
Busy day, but good. It's good to be busy, right?
Yeah, I appreciate you spending the time to meet with me and chat with me.
Hmm.
You personally, we scheduled this with a desire. I'm looking for more division. Obviously, I'm an incredibly, thank you for saying that. You can't hear the Carters. I'm an incredibly positive and optimistic person, and I lead with my chest, and I want to change the world and stuff like that. But I still see a lot of value in a person who's a bit more, we could say, realistic, pessimistic, cynical. I don't care.
Hmm.
Whatever. Like I'm looking for feedback.
Yep.
And whatever you have to contribute so far as like your perspective on what it is that I want to accomplish within the natural bodybuilding space will be taken into consideration, and I'll be able to reflect on that for the future and be able to
Hmm.
make adjustments to my strategy based off of your insight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the first thing, like, no, anyone that's truly committed to this industry would applaud this if it's successful, right? If they can set their ego aside, because I think that's a lot of it is people trying to protect the thing that they've been trying to build. And my initial, like, if you want to call it pessimism, was simply because it's like, hey, there's this guy that's coming onto the scene very loudly saying, like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to be the best. And it's like, but you haven't proven yourself, right? And obviously you gotta earn your stripes. You got to go through that. But like at the end of the day, like I said, if this goes well and you pull off, you get it nationally broadcast or whatever you want to do, and you have the massive prize, it can only help the sport. But you got to get there first. So for me, because I've chatted with a couple of your athletes that I'm friends with, and I've heard and seen what you've posted, talk me through what the current iteration of what the Natty King tournament is, because I feel like that's changed a couple times, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So I don't like to talk too much about the tournament just because um, we've got IFBB pros attached to the project. And if we spend all our time talking about the future tournament without the proper financial backing, then it could honestly clip the ears of the IFBB promoter people, and they might get in the ears of the athletes and say, hey, if you do this thing, you can't compete in the IFBB. So my
Mm-hmm.
idea or my plan is to generate enough momentum, potentially get some financial backing, and then we start hitting the actual tournament and what that's supposed to look like fully. We go into full promotion. In the meantime, what I'm currently focused on is developing the stories of the athletes who will be competing in the inevitable tournament. So focusing on the 30 athletes. And to answer your question, in my vision, it would be like a bracket style tournament. And instead of having 10 athletes on stage doing side by side comparisons, my intention would be to show rivalries between each athlete. So you would have two athletes on stage and they would do something of like a pose off or like a posing battle
Mm-hmm.
where it would, and me and Yoshi, he's an IFBB pro who's also on the roster, and we're working closely to come up with how this looks because it's very different than other bodybuilding competitions. It's an entirely different iteration. We're taking the athletes of bodybuilding and using the posing as like the main metric for how we're actually making a decision as to who goes on to the next round. But it would be
Mm-hmm.
basically bracket style, head to head, and you work your way up, and whoever beats everyone ends up being crowned the Natty King.
Okay.
Yeah.
That in itself, I think, is more feasible because you're breaking down one of the biggest barriers, which is obviously like the prize money, which I'm sure we'll get to, or maybe not. Maybe you don't want to discuss that at all right now. Um, the biggest hurdle is like you aren't yourself a promoter yet, like of a traditional show. Maybe you have someone on your team who is, but that is a massive logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Where if you're like, I'm going to make, the Super Bowl of natural bodybuilding, which a lot of people have said they're going to do, and they try, and like there's some unsanctioned shows that are doing their best to do that,
Yeah.
but they're also investing tens of thousands of dollars and having to coordinate all these massive things and get athletes to that one area. Where if you're doing it bracket style, you can almost, it doesn't have to be live, where you can space it out and like lower cost. So like that makes sense. That makes sense more. I think it leads into more of like the entertainment side of things that you're trying to build to, like March Madness style, because then it's like, oh, it's the whole month, not the championship show, which is like a one and done type thing. So I get that. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the vision, and you're actually kind of saying it already. For one, I did speak with the promoter of Mr. America. His name is Mark. I spoke with him like a week before the Mr. America of last year. He was saying it was like $300,000 to put on that thing, so that's very expensive.
Now that's him trying to do the best that he can for the athletes to put on like a legit top tier show. You can do a show for much less, but that's not what you're trying to do. And if you came out with that show after like this much hype, people are going to be like, what was this? This was a waste.
100%. So to answer, and I love what you're saying, I see the actual one night event as more of a coronation ceremony. So in the ideal scenario, let's say we get picked up by Netflix and it's called, like the docuseries is called The Natty King. Each episode would feature, let's say, 2 athletes, and it leads to the end of the episode where they're going head to head in the bracket style. And we're going through the episodes, getting closer and closer to the actual day of the coronation ceremony. And then that would be like a live stream event, one night only, where we actually find out who is worthy to wear the crown. And that would be like its own thing. Mm-hmm. But we're weeding out, we're discovering who's the front runner through the docuseries as we get closer and closer. And then the night of, it's the big moment.
Yeah. So, and I think that's something in your messaging that needs to be more clear. Or maybe I haven't been as tuned in recently, but like, because championship bodybuilding show and, like, for lack of better terms, reality TV are two very different things, right? And I know you probably don't love that term, but like when you think of it, it's like we're following these people along. People are eliminated along the way. There's challenges, like it is, but it's not. And maybe you need to make that differentiation too of like, it's not a show, it's not reality TV, it's something new, but you have to be like very clear on what it is so that you can then tell people what it is. And
that's why this year I'm very invested in actually getting a pilot episode just to present so people can see. I'm calling it cinematic lifestyle. That's what I want to call this genre of filmmaking, where it's not reality, it's not scripted, it is cinematic lifestyle, where we actually have a storyboard as to what the shots look like, but what's happening within the shots is completely open to the athlete and the people that they interact with. But it's less of an emphasis on like creating drama and making this look like, oh, they're real people, but it's like none of that. No, I want to create something that looks cinematic, because to me, that's what natural bodybuilding has against the enhanced side. We're presenting art. Like natural bodybuilding is an artistic endeavor where we are turning our bodies into sculptures and statues. So the project, the Natty King docuseries, is supposed to display that in a cinematic way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Different terminology for good reason.
Yeah.
Because we know so much of that is scripted, but playing into some of that, like you like, I know that some of your guys like the WWE, like the build up your hype and all that stuff. You almost have to play into that a little bit, but make sure that they are authentic to themselves and not scripted to it.
Yes, very much agreed. Yeah, so it's more, if you want to play into it, go for it. But after this is, I think, year 3 of being introduced to natural bodybuilding, and most athletes really just want to grind, and I want to pay service to those athletes. I don't think that every single athlete needs to be some loudmouth, big talking, person. I think we need some of those to better, kind of create the conflict and stuff like that. But I don't think we need to fill up 30 athletes with that kind of personality.
Yeah. Well, and the athletes you've chosen, I don't know all of them, but there are some that are very energetic, and there are some who pretty much live a monk lifestyle or are
Yeah.
very private. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
like Gary and Oscar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gary very, he does his thing. He's just like, I just want to train and I want to do my thing and be the best bodybuilder. Oscar is like, I'll post my gym videos, but like, don't. No one knows anything about him, right? Like
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great conversations with him, but he's not out there like airing his public or his personal life and his family and all these
Mm-hmm.
things. So that it's going to be tough to like showcase that kind of athlete while respecting their privacy, because you're going to want to like you're going to need them to do certain things to be present on the show rather than just like show up on a stage, which is what a bodybuilder typically does.
Yeah, agreed. I will say that the one hurdle that I'm constantly keeping in mind is in the event, and obviously we want this to be a very big moment, highly promoted. Let's say it becomes a success and everyone knows about it. How do we overcome the concept of a layman, uninitiated person seeing Oscar's physique and saying, "Oh, that guy's natural? No way."
You're never gonna. I mean, you know it. If you've been in the industry, everyone's accused of everything all the time if you have a half decent physique, and you'll never. If somebody has told you that you are a fake natural, you'll never prove them otherwise. You can get all the testing done in the world, and you're still not going to convince that person. But that is one thing that you can do. If those people sign a HIPAA waiver and say like, I am willing to take a live test and like follow up, or like maybe that's like throughout this whole thing, time is passing as this is going along and these people are continuously being tested to be part of that, and that is documented. I think that in itself can help the sport a lot, because there's always the criticisms of like, oh, nobody does the off-season testing properly, or it's like so sparsely done that like maybe a couple people get tested once a year and that's it, or like people come off. But if this is like a 6-month ordeal or longer and they're being tested every single month and their physique is improving the entire time, or at least staying the same, and they're not just losing muscle,
Yeah.
that I think that for the sport of natural bodybuilding is good. Whether that's like logistically feasible is tough, because that gets expensive. When you start doing like blood tests, urine analysis, all those things, that adds up on your costs as well. So you not only have your prize, you've got your film crew, you've got your testing, you've got your venues. Like it's a it's a big payday for somebody.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, the way that I'm currently seeing it is minimal production costs. Just so it's like, I don't know. I guess for like the drug testing, I'm still trying to understand. It's not a huge selling point for me, I guess,
Okay.
but it's just because if I meet an athlete and they tell me that they're natural, okay, you're natural. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
You got a great physique. And
you're in the minority though.
Got it. Got it. But the problem is that, like, take for instance, someone DM'd me the other day, sending me a picture of Oscar and was like, if this guy's natural, then just give him the crown, because there's no one that's bigger than him and there's no way that this guy's natural. And from my perspective, this man has been competing in WNBF federations, sanctioned federations for however many years. Mm-hmm. He's doing all the stuff to prove that he's natural. So like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And once you start trying to play that game of prove that they're innocent, that's the only, it becomes like the focal point, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of different camps. I think what it would do for the general population, if they are in that like Natty witch hunt tribe, you're not going to convince them.
Right.
For the layperson that knows nothing about the sport and just stumbles across it, and this is their first introduction, you're probably doing them a service by showing them like, hey, whether or not believe it, this person has tested, they are natural, and you can aspire to be this, which I know is kind of your message. Like you want to like platform this across a larger population. And then for the diehard natural competitors, it's almost expected. Whether or not like it's foolproof, like you have to have some sort of testing if you're going to say like this is a natural competition, a natural themed thing, because if it's not, it's kind of like there's an asterisk on it, right? Like even within testing, we all know that there's certain federations where it's like, yeah, they're natural, yeah, they test, but like how often are they? How good's their quality of testing? So like to get in like the diehard people, you almost You got to do it. And that's where even like your athlete selection can sway people to or from as well. Like if, and you've done a good job from what I've seen, you have some guys from highly respected, historically well tested federations. You have some guys who are more on like the influencer side of things. Or if this came out and like all 30 were just like influencer guys that had never
Yeah,
really competed, it's
yeah,
like, well, what are we doing here, right?
yeah,
Like, there's no proof that these guys are actually what they say they are.
yeah.
Where like someone like Oscar, someone like Gary, those guys, someone like Silas, they've gone through it, they've been tested repeatedly, and they've shown proof. Um, as a tangent, for those people that are listening after the fact, you have to think like someone like Oscar. What does he have to gain by competing as a fake natural? He's not a coach. He's not selling anything. He's not trying to get sponsorship deals. He's literally just a jack dude that loves lifting and competes because he has the physique he has and he wants to like chase that better physique. And for that person specifically that said like he can't be beat, he has been. Now, whether or not I agree with that, like I'm in the Oscar camp. I think the dude's pretty untouchable if he like dials his condition another like 1%. But he's been beaten. So that goes to show that bodybuilding is not just size, right? Bodybuilding is its shape, its posing, its symmetry, its presentation, its day of factors with hydration, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. So there's so much that goes into it. And that's things that you can highlight as well, or should be highlighting, because everybody looks good on Instagram. I can make myself look 30 pounds heavier than I am. And then I step on stage and get smoked, because you can't hide when you're on stage or in front of, on the camera with other people beside you.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Well said. And I love the future reference because I think when you say it, it just makes complete sense to me. And I find it so fascinating that people would rather be convinced of a person's lie than otherwise. I do want to ask you a question. This is like a hypothetical scenario, but let's say in like 20 years they figured out how to not make steroids harmful, right? So anyone could take steroids and it's no longer life threatening at all. How do we feel? Like, is there still a market for natural bodybuilding at all, or is the only reason that natural bodybuilders aren't taking steroids is because of the life threatening uh, side effects?
No, I don't. I think there's a lot of different camps as to why people stay natural. I think a lot of people, it's more of like the morals of like, I did this myself. And that's like probably how they approach a lot of things in life, where it's like, I want to prove to myself more than other people what I can do. And if they're taking all these other things, that kind of like takes away from it and degrades maybe like how they feel about the progress that they've made. As a healthcare practitioner, the health consequences are like, that's my big thing, right? Like how do I tell people that I'm trying to live a healthy lifestyle if I'm going to do something that, especially I have family risk of like heart disease, right? So it's like, why would I ever do that? Why would I ever encourage that? If you want to do it with your life, fine. But, in that hypothetical situation, I don't know. That's such a reach, because
Well, the reason I ask it is because of peptides. So, and real quick, do you mind if I let Retro in?
yeah, yeah. I
Cool,
was
cool,
just chatting with him last night. Go for it.
awesome. Yeah, so the reason I asked this question is because I was talking to an 18-year-old. What up? How you doing, brother?
How you doing?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, so we were just talking about the validity of natural bodybuilding as advancements in like peptide industry becomes like a bigger thing. And let's say peptides are like the future of genetic modification. I met an 18-year-old kid who's saying that he was taking this thing that was making his skin darker. Then you've got like the retatrutide, which is like the peptide version of steroids and et cetera, et cetera. So if it comes out that these drugs or whatever you want to call them are not life threatening, is it permissible for a natural bodybuilder to take them, or is it still considered an enhancement? At what point, you know? And
It's still
then
an enhancement
I'm
because
for you.
so how I say it this way, the point about being natural is doing what you were given, doing what you have, doing everything you have, and develop that to the best you can without any outside aid. Like whether it be health effects or, like me, you're just stubborn. It's I don't care if they made a super serum and it has the health qualities of water and it does more than steroids. Why? I'm just going to keep pushing the same envelope that many others keep pushing.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point of it? Because what's the point of claiming anything if you're going to take something that's going to boost you?
Yeah. Yeah,
So we're all,
and that argument's even been brought up. Like I just covered the BPC 157 for Natty News, where there's a federation that's allowing that, and they're like, well, it's not performance enhancing; it just helps repair. And like, what about the people that have genetic predispositions to soft tissue injuries? And it's like, well, first off, you're speaking to a physical therapist who specializes in that, so like, I know this better than you. But I'll come off my soapbox. It's like that is allowing you to heal beyond what you were given. If you have a that is your baseline. And if you are modifying your baseline, you're enhancing yourself. Whether or not it's directly correlated, with like I take this thing, I gain more muscle. If I take this thing and now I can train in a way that I otherwise could not train, handle more volume than I otherwise could handle, it's performance enhancing, right? And at the end of the day, like those small things will add up. When we're talking, the top 1% of people,
yeah.
if that person doesn't get an injury and can train for another, 2-3 years, adds an extra pound of tissue, that's a performance enhancement,
Yeah.
And it works fast.
Yeah.
It works
No.
very, very, very fast. And that's not from my experience. I just know people who's had it and it works very, very, very quick. But if you are susceptible to soft tissue injury, then just if you're fragile, just don't compete. Find a
Yeah.
different sport that doesn't break your body, you know?
Yeah. And the only reason I mention it is because I'm really seeing, I want this to be successful. I want the Natty King to be crowned just for the sake of, I've always, for as long as back as I can go, like I've always believed in natural human potential. I think humans are cool. I don't think humans plus are cool. I just don't. But I am starting to understand. I stopped smoking weed back in September on my 34th birthday, so I've been sober for like 5 months, and I'm now starting to like, I'm now starting to see, oh, people are naturally desiring of shortcuts. People are naturally desiring of, oh, this will give me bigger muscles and I don't have to do as much work, or oh, this will make me lose fat and I don't have to like worry about calorie tracking. People would rather do that. It's like an easy sell. If like you're seeing a commercial for Ozempic and you're fat, you will rather buy that than go to the gym and get on a treadmill for 6 months, you know? And it's like a new thought to me because it was never one that I ever considered. But now I'm having to figure out, okay, well, if I want to promote natural human potential and the rest of the world is more predisposed to taking the easy route, well, what's the selling point? you know? And I don't want to make it about health because it's like, okay, well, if peptides don't make you unhealthy,
Yeah. No,
then
it can't be about health because as Silas and I both know, and you competed, right? Like competing is not healthy. No extreme sport, no extreme activity of any nature is inherently healthy. Yeah, and that's a whole different discussion, right? Like if you want to talk about like health and longevity and quality of life for certain peptides, for certain compounds done properly for certain individuals, that's a completely different conversation. But if you're saying, I want to see the best natural bodybuilder, I want to turn my body into the best version of myself naturally, that is completely different. And you have to make that decision. And that's the difference in being a competitive athlete when it comes to bodybuilding versus being a recreational bodybuilder.
so what you're describing is a certain mindset. And last week I came up with this. I started seeing the desire for self-improvement and excellence on a spectrum. So on the one side, you have purists who just want to experience the best version of themselves without the use of any kind of assistance. If they're getting coached by a person and they're telling them, "Hey, do this and that," that's their assistance. Their assistance is a human connection. Then you go on to like the next side where it's like pragmatist, and it's like, okay, well, the science suggests that my testosterone's here, and if I were to take this TRT, it would take me here, and I'm improving myself with the use of TRT. Then you take it another step further, and as you get further and further away from just pure natural human potential, you're erring into a maximalist, where anything that comes on the market, whether it be a steroid, a peptide, cosmetic surgery, anything, Your idea is to like present this version of yourself that could not have been achieved naturally. And at the end of the day, it's both human, or it's both self-improvement, but one's natural with like a certain psychology about it, and then the other one is not. And I'm finding it very interesting that it seems that there are more people, at least within the realm of sports and athletics, that would rather go into this direction of enhancements rather than stay natural. At least maybe for the sport of bodybuilding.
Because they lack belief and discipline. They lack belief in the sense of that they can achieve certain things on their own, because all media in the world tells you is, yeah, they took this, they did this, they did this, and all you see is the people on TV. Well, most naturals are bigger than anyone you're going to see on TV anyways. So, I mean, how you saying, like, doctors have not been prescribing TRT for forever, you know, like back in, what, 50, 60 years ago, they were giving out cigarettes as medicine, so like people function at different levels fine, whether that's your base or your free test, whatever they call it. And if everything functions, and if you're normal, then that's what you do. There's no point to go get tested unless you have legitimate side effects. Then that should be just you reconsidering what you're doing, like they're always going to try and make rules or methods to cut around things. Like all the other leagues we have, they're strict on what they say. And now you have a couple that go, oh, well, if there's just, let's see it from another side. There's not another side to it. Like, if you're going to choose to do these things, I mean, hell, you break your back or something, you choose, I want to heal quicker and do that. Okay, well, understand there's going to be consequences with that, regardless of what you do.
Yeah, well said. I got this truck over here, so I know that's loud. All right, so I'm in agreement with you. And again, I just want to trace it back to like the selling point of as peptides become more popular, because I'm aiming to like read the future, and I'm learning that humans are more inclined to take something that will help them get external results rather than like the discipline that's required of a natural bodybuilder. So selling point based off of what Retro is saying would be discipline and belief.
Yeah. Some people, look, I know this from a fact. Some people are not doing it for a short way out. Some people just go, there's a flop side to it, because I'm close with a lot of enhanced people as well. Is some of it is they're higher risk takers in a way of saying, okay, I'm willing to accept the responsibility for side effects. I'm willing to accept the responsibility of this going this way, this going this way. I want to push the limit of what the human body can do with this added substance and just be a freak. That's that side too. That's a whole little third route.
But I mean, hasn't it warped the physiques to a level that's no longer attractive, or is that just me that feels that way? I mean, when steroids first came on the market during the golden era, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like the guy to be. You've got Frank Zane, you've got Robbie Robinson, Serge Nubret. All these physiques look statuesque, like Greeks, like Greek gods, right? When you fast forward all the way up to 2026 and you see the current crop of open enhanced bodybuilders, they look nothing like the golden era. And so the mainstream market are looking at these physiques and they're literally saying that looks like a freak or a circus act.
Well, it's also like, it's taking a different turn also. The I know this again, just because there's also some people I know, y'all might have heard this too, but stuff nowadays also not always is as pure as what it used to be 20, 30 years ago, back when stuff first started coming out. Like, there's not really any legitimate, authentic Dianabol anymore. There used to be like really pure stuff that came out and it did wonders versus the diluted stuff people use now. But, like you're saying, how they've changed and changed. Classic is still pretty extreme in the IFBB, but that's about the closest where people go, hey, that looks sick. That looks awesome. Still kind of animated and unattainable without use, but it's regardless of people want to say, well, some people don't take much. Okay, well, you might be receptive, but to be in the open, you're going to have to do a lot, and it's just going to have to be more. And so that's just okay. Human nature. People are gluttonous for more and more and more, whether that be anything in life. So if this is a route where someone has an addictive personality, they're going to want more and more and more and more and just push it and forget everything. I'm kind of like that, just not in the drug taking sense.
I actually kind of like that. The concept of what we're doing is a pursuit of restraint.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gluttony
Yeah, yeah. Gluttony for more muscle, bigger fan base, more opportunity, yada yada yada.
because it's
Okay.
an ego problem.
Yeah, yeah. And then once you chase it, then that's where body dysmorphia even gets it deepens because there will never be enough muscle.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's never enough. It's never enough. These guys risk their families, their lives, their health when they get to such a high level. Why do you think so many people tap out and start having kids and retire? They know. No one's stupid. Some people are stupid, but those are the guys that don't make it anywhere. But the ones who know, like, they're going to have to tap out. That's why a lot of these guys really don't have, completely successful families and stuff because it's very extreme and the rate they take it is further than what we have to take it. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to worry about a uh, a grocery list of different things they got to watch out for and side effects. That makes this a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's still difficult. I mean, hell, we're going, talking about what James was saying based off health. When we're down in the bottom line, sub 8 weeks, and we're, negative body fat, if you really did it right and you peeled, you're feeling horrible. These guys can come in, yeah, they feel it too, but guess what? They have regular normal operative test levels because they're taking in TRT. So they're still functioning decently well in areas that we can't,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. What's your stance? So like the Olympics are going on right now, and it's suggested that when it comes to even winning a gold medal in the Olympics, which is considered a natural sports competition, if your coach passes you something as an enhancement, you take it with the intention of trying to get the gold medal. How do we feel about that?
That they've been doing that.
Yeah, I mean it's in the sport. I think what, and I could be completely like in endurance athletes, it's a different conversation. But when it's a skill based athlete, I think the impact is less. Right, like bodybuilding, it's very obvious. You take something and you gain 20 pounds of muscle in a year, like you're a whole different human being. But if you're taking something and you're, I don't even like some of these ski jumpers. And I know there's controversy even about them trying to like increase surface area of certain things. So they have bigger suits, so they have more drag, like the little micro things. But it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the amplitude of impact I feel like is different. Unless you're the endurance athlete when we talk about like, blood doping and stuff like that, like the Lance Armstrong type stuff. So
Okay, so would you place, because again, the Natty King project is supposed to be centered around posing. So would posing fall within skill?
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Posing is an art, but it's also a skill. It's got to be learned. So if you're leaning into that in whatever judging criteria you're doing, that needs to be weighed heavily. More than conditioning. Like I still think you need proper conditioning, proper
Agreed.
mass,
Agreed.
all that.
Agreed.
But in a line item, there needs to be like your posing and presentation is weighed, 2/3 or
Yeah.
whatever it ends up being.
So my vision is size shape conditioning complements posing. So if you've got great size, make sure that your posing complements your great size. If you've got great conditioning, make sure that you're, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I have it kind of broken out where I'm focused on like head-to-head battles, like athlete versus athlete, and styles make matches. So if you have like a mass monster, let's say like Oscar, and you've got let's say Retro Lord over here, then the way that Retro were to beat Oscar would be through fluidity of movement and having a performative posing flow that eclipses Oscar coming up on stage and like flexing. That's the idea. That's the general concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, is this like judging panel style judged, or vote in your favorite athlete, or a combination of the two? Like
I'm thinking a
who's deciding
combination.
who goes on?
I'm thinking a combination. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I also think that there would have to be, because I'm studying I am studying the Olympics right now. I'm looking at figure skating specifically, and Yoshi and I are coming up with like a point system to figure out how to judge posing between two athletes going head to head.
Are you still wanting to keep the different? There was like three styles you
Yes,
were referring from the art.
ethos, logos, and pathos.
Okay, good. I
Absolutely.
was just making sure because the combination of people and the judges, I say this because like the judges would have to be educated on the point system, but at the same time too, um, there's cases where people are certified judges and they still won't follow the criteria they were given. So I think that's where the people can come in handy because you don't want to be complete people's choice. You still want experience judging on it, but at the same time, sometimes judges deviate from what they're given. And you can't really stop that unless you just get different judging. So it can
Agree.
work.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page. I really just want to make it so that I know it's super optimistic, but I would just love for whoever wins the entire thing, it's like a unanimous decision. I would just love for that to happen, but I know that that's super optimistic.
Unanimous would be tough because then you also if you're getting judges that are used to judging shows based off what normal bodybuilding is. If you have someone who is completely sculpted from head to toe, but they were a little less of a poser than some guy who was built good but outposed them, that would make it really, really hard to discern because of previous, like what is embedded in our minds of a winner normally takes it, even if the opposing is a little less. Because based off today's standards with bodybuilding, they checked off enough boxes, you know. So that would have to be the one of the kinks we'd have to work through with the judging panel if we get people who are already judges.
Yeah, yeah. So we have Philip Ricardo Jr. as slated to be the head judge. I have an IG live scheduled with him next week, just to go a bit deeper into what the current vision is for the judging criteria. And honestly, the only way that I can see this working is if we center it around posing, because again, exactly what James just said, performance enhancing drugs do not aid in skill based performances. It doesn't help you shoot a gun better. It doesn't help you like fire an arrow better. So you're either showing that you spent hours and hours on the craft of posing, or you didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's right. Makes sense.
yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Well, shit, man. This was good. Productive. Any other thoughts, feedback, comments, criticisms, concerns on your guys' end?
I know you mentioned early on about bringing in some IFBB guys. That's where some of the finances are coming from. But I mean, that's the big question that you're going to have to answer to a lot of people. You start dropping like not only are we given a big payday, not only are we doing broadcasts, which hasn't barely ever been done, but you're like, what retro? What's the biggest? I think PNBA Natural Olympia had what $110,000 in total prize money for their entire Olympia.
Yeah,
So you're gonna 10 times the biggest prize that's ever happened, and you haven't done a show yet. Like there's a lot of like, all right, where's this coming from? This number's
Got it.
coming out of nowhere.
Got it. Got it.
So the prize money is going to be tough to like prove people that like I have the funding.
That's fair. Um, I'll be completely transparent with you. I'm playing the long game, and I'm looking at like the trajectory of the sport over the course of my entire lifespan. So we want to have the Natty King crowned by 2029. That's what we're aiming for. It would take so many things to go right. I would have to make friends with like rich people in the realm of Hollywood and people who are enthusiastic about the cause of natural human potential and displaying this story in an emotionally compelling way. I want this on Netflix. I want this in the form of a feature length film. I did some research. I was just on Amazon Prime yesterday. There are 24 films about bodybuilding on Amazon Prime. You've probably only heard of like two or three. So that's the type of stuff that I keep in mind. So at the end of the day, to answer your question, I'm not so concerned about the $1 million or getting it right in 2029. My concern is getting it right, period. You know? So if 2029 rolls around and I wasn't able to get the investment for a $1 million cash prize, we still go through the process of crowning the Natty King with the understanding that there is an inevitability that this will be the biggest thing in the sport of bodybuilding, and that we are planting those seeds, and it accumulates into that moment, whether it happens in 2029, 2040, 2050, it's leading to this moment. And we have to do these breadcrumbs. We have to do these steps. Otherwise, it's never going to happen at all.
So the
Valid.
event itself, um, whether it be people doing pose offs and stuff like you were talking about for like the documentary part or the filming or whatever it is, technically this is being done polar opposite of how you like a regimented show would be promoted. So
Yes.
really you would in a sense be the first of its type to promote the first of this. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be ran the same way. You know, like we were talking about pose offs and different things or like arenas and stuff like the judging system and stuff could happen where it's some sort of multi locational scenario
I
and
love that.
it would just have to be radically different. You have some badass film crew, and you have a lot of advertisement bleeding into it, and find some people who believe in it, and then they link up with it, and then they decide to broadcast it, and you're getting into small leeways here and
Yeah.
there. Just being able to pull it off. I mean, with enough money, you can make the ad a YouTube ad. Like this stuff is possible if you can get some larger companies to be shed some light onto it. Even in the fitness industry, it could be promoted as something completely different. It would still take funds, but like it's not like we're going to sit here, pop up folding chairs, and put some banners up and go to a high school. You know,
Dude, I mean, I'm 100% on the same page with you. I totally believe in the fact that we can pull this off. Timing is like the thing, So I would love to have all of this pull off within like by 2029. And I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that it happens. But I can't consider a failure if we don't get the $1 million cash prize by 2029. I can't consider that a failure because whatever type of progress we make between now and 2029, it gets us that much closer to the inevitability of this being the biggest show in bodybuilding. Period.
what if, let's say we couldn't, there could be a ballpark range of what we could get to, and it could still be more than what an individual winner at all these shows gets. Like who's to say, what if a natural bodybuilder was able to win $50,000? You
That's
know,
huge.
that's
Yeah.
that's a lot for natural bodybuilding in itself. And there's not really much more that would pay more than the Arnold than the Olympia. So you know, if you have at least something larger than what the average athlete gets by a substantial amount, and you're wanting this to be reoccurring, obviously. So, and by that, because I mean, that's the only way stuff really blows up and gets out, anyways. And you have, like, in our quote squad of who we have now is already some significant people. So that's already going to pull some traction from all the other audiences, anyways, because of who these people know. Now, here's to say, what if the way we do it, if it's a documentary style, is instead of, oh, well, hey, next year, 2030, what if it's something like the Olympics, where there's a buildup of the next 2 years or 3 years, where it builds up to another great event that gives us more time to consolidate resources and output.
Yeah, so I was always thinking about the Olympics. I was always thinking about like, to me the Natty King is like, it's like a presidential thing, right? So the Natty King gets crowned. He's the guy. This is the natural bodybuilder of the year, and he reigned for 4 years. And then the next time is like, so if we crown the first Natty King in 2029, the next time we crown the Natty King would be 2033. And then in that interim, we will be crowning the Natty Queen, and then she would get a 4-year interim, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's how I would want to do it.
Well, this could be cool if it's done that way, because
Yes.
it's not like anything else. It's not like you have a show where it's based off competitive endeavors. This is really like, in a sense, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a competition, but at the same time, it's more like a whole like fictional approach to the sport as well, which is obviously I'm for that because I think it's cool. Like, let's just far fetched, but let's say like someone like me or Yoshi, based off our posing, took it. That's we might not be able to stand against Oscar and Men's Open, but this is something cool we say we accomplished. It's because it's a whole different. This is kind of like a WWE version of the sport, and it would
Yeah.
be cool to make it that.
Yes. Yeah. We're on the same page. Yeah. And I think I've already mentioned it, but like, we're recording this and everything, but my entire intention is to drive this narrative. This is all within like an anime fictional universe. So I have an anime concept called the Natty King that takes place 20 years after the first crowning of the Natty King. So all of these events, all this like fictionality that we're like describing right now, makes so much more sense in an animated um, display of this. It makes so much more sense.
Well, it's like the same way. You can't say that John Cena didn't give a crap for being heavyweight title holder of the world in the WWE. He wouldn't survive in a UFC match, but that's what he did was WWE. Like, you can't say that people didn't soak that up, especially when you make stuff that entertaining. It might not be all the way through the real exact thing. That's fine. We're showing a whole different appreciation for a whole different inlet of the sport that should have been broadcasted a long time ago because honestly, it's frankly stupid that all they do is give out best poser awards and there's nothing that comes behind it most of the time except for maybe a little bit of pocket change even when it goes all the way up through the IFBB because posing is the centerfold of the sport. We
Well,
don't just stand up there with our stomach sagging and go, hey, this is me, how do I look?
yeah.
You have to pose.
Well, you're 100% preaching to the choir. James, what are you thinking?
I like the breakdown and the explanation. I think that the way that Silas just said that is the way that it needs to be broadcast,
Copy.
right? Like it's the comparison of like WWE to UFC or WWE to collegiate wrestling, right? Like it's not the same thing. It looks
Yeah.
like the same thing, but the intentionality of it is vastly different.
Okay.
This is entertainment, and it's not, it is a sport, it is the sport, it is the athletes, but it's not UFC, it's not wrestling.
Right.
So yeah, that stuck with me a little bit.
And athletes
But
can compete in both. They can compete in the Natty King, and that's more WWE. And then you could be like Brock Lesnar, where you're a champion in UFC and a champion in WWE.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's like the UFC reality shows they have.
Yeah.
Like those aren't all the way. There's
yeah,
a lot of scripted stuff with that. It's like a reality show. Like, if you take there's competitive dancing where dancing schools actually go up to each other and there's like regionals and stuff, right? Well, then also you got Dancing with the Stars and they're just competing there in this little cash prize and it's broadcasted and filmed and they're going through little people's
Yeah.
lives and backstories and stuff. And it's more like a frou-frou version of what the hardcore thing is. Like we love the sport we do, but this little splash would give almost like a breath of fresh air relief. Like, hey, this is a vibe. This is cool. And this also would give way more entertainment and flowering to the entire sport itself.
100%.
all right. I gotta jump off. I got clients here, but
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys. It was a good
This is
chat.
great.
Shaun.
This is great.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Silas, this was great, man.
It's a vibe, man.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
vibe. It's cool. Yeah, no, I think taking it that direction would be sick. Because like I'd say this even from this standpoint, like going back, if one of us posers, for example, not saying we would or wouldn't, but if one of us posers placed higher, won the whole thing, it's still in our minds, we're still going to want to win at the stuff that's like very legitimate and concrete. Like for example, there was a if you're gonna win that, in the back of my head, I'm gonna be like, damn, I still want Mr. America.
Of
Like it's still,
course. Of
but
course.
this splash gives a escape from reality, especially if there's a lot of like, not necessarily the anime part, but it really like it is exaggerative. To exaggerate everything would be cool because it gives everyone a little like break to breathe, going, hey, it's serious, but it's not that serious, but it's serious, like it's, relaxing. Like this would be something fun to prep for,
Yes.
because now it's more like personality based. It's more like, and also too, like the camera crew thing, I would think we would need to do a thing where people are going and actually legit traveling, whether expenses are, I don't know, however that's done, but people get to each one of our lives and actually like a few days, a day or two of like in person stuff, and then that be put into, which I'm sure you've already been through that. And so, I mean, it would just be cool. It'd give more personality to the sport because the sport's
100%.
dry, and the sport's dry in a lot of ways. You got people who blow up from being influencers, and you got people like Damien, who's a freakazoid and won the OCB Jordan Cup twice, and now he's the man. So like, there's plenty of ways to cut the cake.
Yes, very much agree. And everything that you're saying makes complete sense to me. I'm actually thinking exactly the same thoughts. So 2026 is all about coming up with a pilot episode to properly display what the vision is. And I want to, because you're definitely grasping the concept very well. Everything that you said lines up perfectly with what it is that I'm thinking. But I want to pitch this concept to you and to see if it makes sense to you. So when you think of docuseries or reality shows, they definitely punch up drama and make it a bit more. They try to make it more dramatic than like regular real life, right?
Yeah.
So I want to pitch this concept, which is something I've been working on. And again, I'm genuinely using Aristotle as like the foundational principles of the Natty King cinematic universe. So we've got ethos, logos, and pathos. We've got this thing called Aristotle's Poetics, which is his hierarchy for how to tell a moving and compelling story in the form of a fictional play or cinematic universe, whatever that we're doing, right? So he's
Mhm.
got plot, character, diction, thought, spectacle, and song in that order. So plot comes first, then you've got character, then you've got diction, then you've got thought, then you've got spectacle, and then you've got song. When I first came up with the Natty King project, I was all about spectacle. I was all about spectacle. I was thinking WWE, larger than life, fireworks, yada, 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 right? Now that I'm using Aristotle's teachings as like the groundwork for the Natty King mythos, right? I am thinking more about like how would this be presented using his poetics? So the idea that I've been kind of playing with. Are you familiar with lo-fi or vaporwave videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So the idea that I've been playing with is we're going to launch a YouTube channel. Period. We would love to end up on Netflix, but we will have to have our own platform regardless as to whatever streaming service picks us up. So YouTube channel is a must. There must be a Natty
Mhm.
King YouTube channel. The types of episodes that I picture on that channel is something like super chill, meditative, and almost quiet. Where like let's say we were to film your episode, right? The day starts and it's just like really nice shots of you starting your day, making coffee, doing whatever you're doing, like we're just watching you. But like it's not there's no script and there's no like you don't have to play anything up. You're just being yourself and the camera's like over there and it looks nice. It's a really nice shot. But we're not explicitly stating like something's happening. You're literally just going through your day. You get to the gym, you do your workout, you do your posing, and the whole time we're shooting it very nicely, but we're not overemphasizing anything. And that would be your episode. And that would be like the YouTube channel specifically. The whole time we understand that we are preparing for the Natty King, for the next sports icon to come out of bodybuilding, and each athlete would get their own highlight within like a 30-minute episode that is exclusive to how they live their lives preparing for this moment.
That'd be cool. I do think at some point spectacle would be sick. Uh,
Yes.
at some point, like when it comes to the entrances and stuff, because it could be you could treat it as a build up, something calm and chill and normal. Well, I say calm, chill, and normal. Like I'm not really calm, chill, and normal, but like you could have their personalities and everything slowly ramp up as starts getting to be like produced and stuff.
Yes, yes,
Like it can start off quiet, but it starts
yes,
making noise.
yes, yes. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. But you understand like the idea of it starting off like chill, like a daily life, nothing flashy, but I feel like it also pays greater service to like what natural bodybuilding is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it could, it's and like it could be like a slow unveil of like the name of the athlete, X days out, something like that. And then you know, it could be cool, like a little like realistic approach. But it could kind of be like this is a silly comparison. Have you ever seen the show Primal?
I've seen a movie, or no, wait, maybe not.
It's a show. It's animated. It's not
Okay,
anime really, but it's like
okay.
the it's by the same writers and stuff that did like the Star Wars: The Clone Wars cartoon versions that came out long time ago, and they were on like Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. Same writer, same art style, but it's this Neanderthal and stuff starts out normal. He loses his family, he befriends this dinosaur, lost its family, and now they're just out in the world. Slowly, they start like they're just fighting to survive and stuff, and just fighting regular like like dinosaurs and stuff. All of a sudden, it starts getting like weird. You start getting like little mystic stuff here. All of a sudden, they ran into a cult. All of a sudden, they ran into a group of apes who were intelligent and took like steroids and got huge. Like, it just starts getting more and more wild. It was like a build to where now you're like, I have no idea what's even going to happen. This is going to get crazier. Who's dying this time and stuff like that. Like, it just gets like very exaggerated after a very quiet start.
Yes, I'm thinking the same exact thought, and my intention would be as we get closer to the date of the crowning, that's when we ramp up, and that's when we actually start. The idea is to peel back the layers of the fact that this is a production. So we would start hearing like the whispers of like the producer and the editor like arguing back and forth about like a shot composition, and we would start basically seeing the cracks of the scenery as we're seeing the athletes prepare for this reality altering, game changing moment in the history of bodybuilding.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool. It'd be
Okay.
cool. I think the layout is sick. And like the whole like take time and space, like 3, 4 year gap, that would be sick.
Yeah.
So no, like there's a lot of good framework and over time the past even few months there's been more blueprints and stuff made. I think it's sometime soon too is like getting the connections. That's also key. But like I think the YouTube channel be sick and I think all of us individually just get like videos either made and sent in or vice versa something.
I want to hit the road, man. I want to hit the road. So my focus is we're doing a merch launch this year. So we're gonna be launching Natty King merchandise, and then we're going to do a teaser trailer to promote that merchandise. I want to go straight into a fundraising campaign to raise
Okay.
money so that we can start producing high quality YouTube videos of each athlete. So modest film crew shooting this concept that we're discussing right now, and that would take us into 2027. And from there, it's just marketing and networking. Honestly,
Would
marketing
you
net.
want that one film crew going to each athlete?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to figure out some way because I mean obviously they'd have to fly and all of that stuff.
yeah. It
Uh,
would be some expenses.
but it could literally be the same way how say you boys watching now like you and Valley when y'all do a shoot, someone else is holding that camera. I mean, the quality of that, the quality of, some of the videos you've put up, it could be simple as like one of them just nice camera in a gym environment. It's got people talking, got the backdrop a little darker. Like even the same thing that Matt uses on sometimes that camera-esque, just someone holding it, and knows how to edit,
Yeah.
then that would
Yeah.
work.
No, it's about starting small. Dude, I'm right there with you. It's starting small and then you scale up, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about like, we want bigger budgets. We don't need like an excessive budget for this concept because like
Hmm.
you're able to grasp a concept quiet, chill, meditative, taking ourselves to like the lives of these athletes, and then as we get closer and closer to the date, we start seeing something happening behind the scenes. There's like a bigger moment on the horizon that every athlete becomes more and more aware of, right?
Yeah.
So as we get closer, the budget gets bigger. It's just that simple.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because when the budget gets bigger, more frou-frou can be put into it. It's budget friendly to have everyone start off chill and quiet. So
Yeah,
that's a good concept to go into,
yeah.
because the more stuff that's thrown into it. And also too, it's not that hard. Like, I don't know about the camera crew thing, but like, to get a good quality, like edited video of stuff of someone's daily life. I mean, there's bodybuilders who do that anyways for
Yeah.
their YouTube channels,
Yeah.
having something small, and maybe you have like, it can go to you or something, or whoever editor is, and they just put like a little Natty King stamp on the
Mm-hmm.
video to
Mm-hmm.
show that's what it is,
Yeah.
build up, athlete number, I think I was 10 or something, something like that, and say, okay, here's,
Well,
retro.
yeah,
And
it would be on the channel, so you would automatically know. Like if you're coming to the channel, you know what you're watching, and then we would be able to sprinkle in indicators that like this is what this is and this is why. Like I'm all about the why. Why are we
yeah,
training? We're training for the Natty King. Why does the Natty King need to be crowned? Because the sport of bodybuilding is fucked. The fitness industry is fucked, and there needs to be a leader who represents natural human potential.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotta find them dogs, man.
I love it. I
Gotta
love
find
it.
them
Well, dude,
dogs.
this is great, man. I love like this is great. This is great. I got a meeting with Philip Ricardo Jr. next week. I'm still working on finalizing the date and time for that, but you're welcome to join that one too once I have that one locked in.
Yeah, let me know the time on that one, because I know, like, it depends upon the day for me, because like some weekdays I work, so I'm
All right.
off, and so like it'll vary. But yeah, no, I mean, I know Philip on a personal level, so like that'd be fun.
Yeah, man. Of course, of course. Well,
Yeah,
I'll send you the invite once it's locked in, and thank you for your brain. I'm
yeah,
glad that we're on the same page as to like what this should look like. So now it's just a matter of execution.
absolutely.
Cool, bro. Have a great Tuesday. I'll talk to you
All right,
soon.
yeah, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, bro. I appreciate you.
All right, see ya.